Hey guys, Nick here. Thanks for stopping by. Over the last couple of weeks, some people have asked me about diet and how you need to modify yours if you are diagnosed with end-stage liver disease or cirrhosis. Now, there are a whole lot of things to take into account, so I'm just going to go over a few of those specifics. Your doctors will likely tell you the same things, but I'm going to try to give you a few little tips and hints and little shortcuts to be able to get your body the nutrition that it needs, but keep the bad stuff away that now your body may be having difficulty processing. In my case, I lost probably a third, if not half, of my body weight in a very quick amount of time. In previous videos, I talked about how at one point I was around 200 pounds. Still a little bit overweight for me, but I was at about 200 pounds and dropped down to about 115 pounds at one point. Any excess weight that I had in addition to that 115 was all water and fluid. So some of the big things that you really need to watch, it's pretty much a necessity, are your sodium, your sugar, your liquid intake, depending on your body's ability to process the liquid, and protein. The three biggies are the sodium, sugar, and protein. Liquid is on an individual basis. So the big thing first, sodium. Salt. Everyone, you might think, salt, I just won't add any salt to my food. It's not always enough. Some of the big things that you really want to avoid when you go to the store, for example, canned foods, anything in a can, very high sodium. You want to stay below 1,500 milligrams of sodium max per day. So you really need to start paying attention to food labels. So with sodium, you're going to look. You might think, I'm going to get a can of green beans, or I'm going to get a can of some other things. They are incredibly high in sodium. Same things with like a canned soups, healthy, hearty soups, even ones that say that are heart healthy. Really take a look at that, because when they're saying heart healthy, there's a good chance they're talking about calories, maybe even cholesterol. They're not always taking into account sodium. So if you look at the back of a can, pay attention to your serving amounts as well. So one can, you might look at it real quickly and say, hey, 450 milligrams of sodium, that's not so bad. But that's per serving, and you might have 4 servings in a can. So if you eat a can of soup, that's pretty much going to hit your sodium for the entire day. So you'll need to take any canned good that you take in, that you consume, really give hard thought as to whether or not you want to do it. Frozen foods, frozen pizzas, things like that, check them. Just because they might be low in fat, low in calories, there's a good chance their sodium is incredibly high. So some good tips there when you go to the supermarket, and people say it a lot for eating healthy, but this is especially when watching your sodium. Stay on the outside of the grocery store. Avoid the aisles if at all possible. So if you do like vegetables, don't get canned. Get the fresh produce. Green beans are a great source. Potatoes are quite good for you. Greens, really any kind of fresh vegetable, you're going to get a considerable amount of benefit from there. You're also going to get a lot of fiber, which will really help your digestion, and you really want to keep that going as well. So some other things to avoid when you go out to eat. Fast food. It's best just to avoid it. There's really no such thing as healthy fast food. There's really no such thing as the healthy option. Especially you can get tricked for going to maybe certain sandwich shops or restaurants that say this is a healthy option. It might be true, might be low in calories. That turkey sandwich that you get at your local deli or your local sandwich shop, might be really healthy for you. It might be a good source of protein, but that sodium is going to be incredibly high. That's why with deli meats, try to avoid deli meat. If you like chicken, and things like that, cook it at home. Don't use the deli meat because they stay really good and really fresh for a reason. A lot of preservatives, a lot of salt, so you want to avoid that stuff. As far as your sugar intake, you need to stay below 100 grams total of sugar a day. Now, there's two different types of sugar. There's sugar and then your added sugars. So when I'm saying total sugar, that's for both normal sugar and the added sugar. So if you look at a food label, it's going to have a certain amount of added sugar. So that's extra crap that's being added in your food during the processing stage. So added sugars for men, you need to consume no more than 9 teaspoons or 26 grams of added sugar per day. Women, it's a little bit less. You don't want to consume any more than 25 grams of added sugar in a given day, and that will kind of help you naturally limit it. Some things that I recommend for like drinks, I love flavored drinks. I really, really like sodas. I was a huge fan of things like teas. I won't go into specific name brands, but bottled teas I really liked. At your supermarket, they have flavored water packets that are no sugar, no sodium, and there are a ton of different flavors. I have probably 12 different flavors down in my kitchen right now. And you can get tea, peach tea, fruit punch, grape, cherry pomegranate. I mean, there's just an array of options, and they're pretty reasonably priced. So I always go with the ones you can do individual servings, or you can do the ones that you can do for a gallon pitcher. Either one give you a great source of variety, and you don't really get tired of one specific flavor. You also want to take into account candy. When I stopped drinking, a huge thing is you start craving sugar because your body oxidizes alcohol in the same way as it does sugar, because that's essentially the same thing. So it's very, very common for people to crave sweet things and things like that. So if you might not have eaten normally. So if that's the case, stevia and sweetening substitutes have been a good option. I know there's kind of a lot of back and forth as to how healthy they actually are, if you were to compare it to regular sugar, but it is definitely a very good option, and it's been recommended to me by my healthcare providers to substitute that for sugar, and it's awesome on fresh fruit, which is the other thing that I want to touch on. Blueberries, especially blueberries, but oranges, apples, anything like that. You get natural sugars. They're good in fiber. It's giving your body nutrients, major acids, amino acids that your body needs. A lot of them are superfoods. Kiwis, I was a really big fan of. And again, you can find this stuff in your produce area. Sounds like common sense, but a lot of people just blow right past it. So in doing that, also take into account that your kidneys are going to be filtering a lot of this stuff. So oftentimes liver disease and kidney disease go hand in hand. So I tend to steer away from bananas and things that are really, really high in potassium specifically, because it can cause problems with your kidneys. In particular, in my case, I was on a potassium supplement because I was very, very malnourished, anemic, and just a variety of different things. So once you begin to get some of that nutrition back, talk to your primary care physician and your nephrologist or your kidney doctor. If you are having kidney issues, or if you have a certain stage of kidney disease, in my case, I have an advanced stage 3 of kidney disease as a result, and coinciding with my cirrhosis. So keep that kind of in the back of your mind. If you do talk to your physicians and you start noticing a spike in your creatinine or your potassium levels, so just keep that on your radar. Lastly, protein. protein is a big thing because you really lose your appetite when you're suffering from ESLD and cirrhosis. So you got to find easy ways to get potassium in, because a lot of times you're nauseous. Heavy foods, especially in the beginning, are difficult. So some things that I recommend are pure protein powder. It's basically it's whey, and in a given serving, that's 30 grams of protein right there. So I would combine the pure protein powder with an Ensure drink. Lots of different flavors there, and Ensure is about 9 grams of protein there. So I would put them in like a tumbler and shake it up. So that one drink right there, almost 40 grams of protein right off the bat, because you want to hit, if you can, about 100 grams of protein a day. So in that one drink, if you do that twice a day, one in the morning, one mid-afternoon, your body is going to absorb a lot of that. You want to kind of avoid spices, because a lot of or not all spices, I call it the Dash diet. The Mrs. Dash seasonings are no salt seasonings, so you can get chipotle. If you like spicy stuff, you can get that. Garlic, herb. I mean, there's just a ton of different options for you. So you can still have all of your flavoring and all the stuff that you like, minus the salt that we talked about a little bit earlier. Boiled chicken is an awesome thing that I would always like to keep around, because you can do so much with it. I could make chicken salads, or if I just needed up something bland, or if I needed something flavorful, I could do chicken with a little bit of like steamed broccoli, baked potatoes, or even cooked in the microwave are really good, because it's fast, it's easy, it will fill you up, and it's not going to make you sick. At least in my case, it didn't make you sick. So those are just some general tips that I had to learn. And once I was able to kind of pack back on what I called good weight, that wasn't water, when your face actually starts filling back out, it helps with your energy level. You will still be fatigued. I still suffer from chronic fatigue. It can happen almost without notice. I have to stop for about 3 hours or so midday, sometimes sleep or rest or things like that, just because the liver and the oxygen going through the liver, the oxygenated blood, doesn't always reach its max potential. So those are just some dietary options and concerns. I know how hard it is. We know how tough it is, and just how frustrating it can be. So those are my general recommendations. Lastly, yogurt. Combine that with your fruit. That way you're getting a good amount of protein that's low sodium, and you're getting a good amount of fruit and different things that your body really needs, because you are malnourished. And if you had a history of drinking, like I did, you probably weren't eating the best foods to begin with. So just some general tips. If you have any questions, put them in the comments section below. If you have any other topics that you'd like for me to discuss, I'm happy to research them. Also, in the description below is a link to my Facebook page for end-stage liver disease and support some really great information there. And please remember to like and subscribe for future videos, and I will keep them coming. Thanks a lot, guys, and I hope everyone has a great week.